We can't hear you.
Look, I'm going through my whole
I
spiel
know.
and I'm on mute. I'm gonna start over. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl Deanna C, and this is the 5678 podcast. Okay, I believe this is episode 4. We took a week off last week, but we are back with more educational information for the majorette community. I am joined here with two of the 3 special guests that I have today, Mr. Warren Gregory Alexander Heron. Okay. and Miss Jennifer Nicole Nichols. So hey, what's up, everybody? I'm glad that you guys could come back because our first episode was really great. We had a really great conversation. Now, please make sure that you are sharing the live and tagging people in. I know that we have more viewership after the podcast have ended. However, we would love to have everyone join in. So I'm going to be sharing once I finish doing my promo and setting the stage up. So first, make sure that you are following us at Divine Dance All Star Apparel. That is on Facebook. That is on Instagram as well as YouTube. That way you can get in touch with me if you have any questions that you might have had from hearing the podcast, or if you need any advice or anything. We are here to help and build a community. Um, Also, make sure that you guys, and I did say follow and subscribe. Make sure that you subscribe so that you can be notified of new content. Make sure that you guys join our group that we have, as well as like our page where you can talk with like-minded individuals and share information, receive information, ask questions. The point is to build the community. Also, I did say follow us on YouTube, but this is our actual YouTube page where you can get good tutorials as well as some background information related to the majorette community. If you need logos, I do design logos and crests, as well as I do flyers. If you need flyers, this is just a simple example of that, but we do more intricate designs as well. And if you need a dance mix for your team, I also do dance mixes as well. So you can email me or you can contact me on the social media at Divine Dance Allstars at gmail.com or at Divine Dance All Star Apparel. All right. So now that I have what they say, paid the sponsors or whatever the term is, we're going to start off with our icebreaker question. Okay. Our first question, and I'm not sure if I asked you guys this or not, but if there was a major red category you could get rid of, which one would it be?
I think we
Anybody
touched
can
on
go.
it a little bit.
Yeah, I
I don't know.
wasn't sure if I said this with y'all or another podcast, but we can always reshare.
I don't know. I like.
You like them all? I
I
But
know we
do.
talked about our favorite one,
Yeah.
our
oh,
favorite category.
Only one I would say, but I do like this one. I don't think I would say would be maybe the walkthrough, simply because
Hmm.
it is confusing. Because sometimes I know we talked about it last time. It's not supposed to be judged, but then people still end up judging it. It just
Right.
gets a lot of confusion. But that was the only reason why. Besides that, I love to keep a walkthrough. I'm all for
Yeah,
fashion shows.
I concur with that sentiment because it is confusing and like I don't know if it was Warren or Jamar that said it the first time we was out here. You had walked through with TikTok walkthrough or something. You said or
mhm.
TikTok stand battles, some crazy thing that you said, but it was funny.
Yeah,
And like I said, walkthrough for me is like I don't. I personally don't see the point. I understand introducing the teams to the judges, but 9 times out of 10, the judges don't remember you from the
right.
walkthrough. They remember you from other parts of the categories that you may do. So that's just my personal opinion. What about you, Warren?
Oh, if I had to get rid of one,
Hmm.
I'm gonna say I guess it's kind of a twofold. I don't necessarily would get rid of it, but I would want it to be back traditional. Would be
Oh yeah,
would be
with
staying.
stands. Yeah.
So I'm a huge advocate of traditional stands, and I get the battle stands. I get it's a lot of time, work, energy put into every stand. And when you look at these stands are turned into full out routines. They are lasting almost 5 and 6 minutes of dancing just for one stand. So if we could actually not necessarily get rid of it, but I would say just alter it and make it traditional, because you can get what's your point across in a traditional stand. And I still see a lot of teams that still do the creativity and still can do it all in a matter of 32, eight count, 64
Mhm.
count, and it'd be just as nice. So if we could get back to traditional stands, that would be tremendous. I would love it. But as we all know, that may not happen because so many people want to do it
Well, we
all
do
out
have the
the box.
category HBCU stands, but we don't see it as often as we do just regular stand battle. Maybe that category needs to be, brought out a little bit more, like having both, where you have the traditional and then non-traditional stands. I feel
Well, I
like
guess
that would
that
work.
part of it too. I always have to say is that when a lot of these our dancers go to college, there's no
Hmm.
such thing as those battle stands that we do in the community
Right.
program. So
No.
you're traditionally dancing in the stands as it's taught and as it's done. And I think
Mhm.
we lose track of it because we wanted to keep it creative and fresh and new. But like I feel like there's more hostility and more pettiness and bickering and all of that instead of this traditional dance. And let's dance and still show sportsmanship and then walk off. But you don't see that no more.
And this is why I love you, Warren, because you created a great setup about our initial topic today. See, look
Oh,
at God. We have some people that have made some comments. Miss Jasmine Lopez, what's up, Jasmine? She said
Hi, Jazz.
all made up with a twist categories. Yeah, we talked about those TikTok categories. Who the hell told you to put a twist on the category? Jasmine gonna give it to us real and raw, okay? And it ain't nothing wrong with it,
yeah.
okay? She says it's Showtime Productions has senior HBCU only now and leave the regular battle stands to the mini and juniors. Okay, that's good. And she also says that it keeps a lot of the drama down their way. We all agree. We all said the same thing. Um, as it relates to stand battle. Now, our main topic today is resolving conflict. How do we resolve conflict within the majorette community? Now, before we go to our first question of the night, you guys make sure that you are sharing and tagging your friends in, because we want to open up the discussion to everyone. And the point is to bridge the community together. Let's have these real and raw conversations so that we can find solutions to build the community. Now, we also recognize that everyone will not join in. We talk about the people that want to be a part, okay? So the first question is, since Warren talked about the bickering between other teams, the question is, how do you deal with conflict with other teams? And either one of you guys can go.
I'll let Warren open it because mine is kind of lengthy.
Um, Number one, I always, and I guess I'm a firm believer in, still understanding and making sure that number one, your brand and your team, your parents, your supporters know what your team is about. Meaning how to deal with resolutions. I mean, how to deal with conflicts and come to resolutions. Because at the end of the day, that coach, that sponsor, that director is responsible for that particular brand or that team. So a lot of times, most of our teams or the people that we have, they don't realize that the sponsor needs to be that person, that coach or the director needs to be
Mhm.
the one to handle and talk to other directors and say, hey, I saw one of your girls, they were saying, some inappropriate things. I'm coming to you and letting you know this is what's happening and this is just not going to be tolerated. I'm being adult enough to talk to you. And I've actually had this situation happen before. And I'm going to just use this example. And one of my girls, love her to death. I'm not gonna mention her name, but I had one of my competitions at the high school we're doing. running the show. People know how to run my shows and feel like it's very organized, straight to the point.
Yeah.
We stress the importance of, not walking, that kind of thing during performances. And, all of the teams, the coaches, we already had a pre-meeting to please respect it. And one of the young ladies from one of the teams, was like, hey, stop right here and just wait. And then once you're done performing, you can go ahead and walk on the floor. She got upset. She got an attitude. She cussed me out and proceeded to walk past me and walk straight to where her team was.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, I'm an adult and I'm going to talk to you as an adult, but I don't do disrespect from kids and I don't do disrespect
Right.
from any other team members as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked over to my friend, my sister that's running her team. And I said, can I talk to you for a second? And I said, I need this young lady right here. And I pulled her down. I took her back to where we walked back from the entrance, away from everybody. We had a conversation along with my other co-sponsors that were there that had saw that interaction and said, this young lady just literally just cussed me out. And was, because we asked her to wait, she just went off as if somebody told her I cussed her out. I told her just to wait until the performance was over with. Me and that director, we talked about it. She reprimanded that young lady for what she did because I told her your team could have got disqualified from the entire competition just by being disrespectful to the host and the host team. Mm-hmm. And, me and that director, we talked about it. She knew for sure that, I'm going to listen to the adult. I'm going to talk to the adult and we're going to address the issue with the director, not with another parent, not with another dancer. We pulled her to the side and we effectively addressed what happened. And I think that once we did that, never had a problem. And I told that young lady, I was like, it's a certain way how you act and a certain way how you respect people in authority and the people around you. And we got to teach our girls and our guys that it's about respect. My parents needs to know that, and if we can do that, I'm honestly, it makes the world of a difference. But we, as the sponsors, directors, and coaches, have to start taking a reign of what we need to do and pushing that brand out for all of us.
And I 100% agree with you. And you did that so professional.
You did.
Because I probably would have cussed that baby right back out.
Yeah,
I probably would.
It took a lot. It took a lot for me to kind of hold in, but I just,
But you're also an administrator too, so
right. Mm-hmm.
you have experience in that.
Because she was going to get put out of the competition, and that was one of her best dancers.
Well, I mean, and that's a problem too, and I want to talk about that in a little bit. Mm-hmm. But Jennifer, I want to hear your take on it.
I completely agree with Warren. I think, just like with adults raising children, it starts at home. Mm-hmm. That's something that needs to be, how you treat others. That's something that needs to be discussed within the team on a regular basis, because children are going to be children. You do competitions, you do these battle stands, and you do all of this other, these aggressive hand movements, and you just around other people. Sometimes it's just so easy to get mixed up with he said, she think, we think, and all of that. So I am losing the point, but I think the best way to resolve it is, like Warren said, to talk to the other coach, come to an agreement. If it's something between, I've never had this. It's always been within the team for me. So I'm just going to say, let the coaches get together, the team members, even the parents, if it needs to, get together, try to hash it all out. And so they can just keep going as a productive organization.
Well, I want to share an experience that I had. This was when I first started coaching at Kirby. Of course, I'm dealing with a bunch of teenage girls. That's a deal within itself. But we were doing stand battle. And within the stand battle, there was kind of like kids, they don't know how to separate, what's real and what's not real. Like that energy that you give out on the floor, like I had this, that, and the third, is really part of the performance. And it's not necessarily supposed to be, I don't like you because you're the other team. And so it kind of got to that point with some of the teams that we were going against. And I had to take my girls aside and say, hey, look, I know it might be difficult, but you're going to have to remove your emotions out of this because you're going to have some teams that's going to turn their back on you. They going to say, call you little names. They even might flip the bird on you underhandedly. You know, you got to get in control of your emotions. And y'all, if y'all hear that noise in the background, it's fireworks. They're not shooting, I don't think. You got to get control of your emotions. You know, we can't allow every little thing that somebody does work us up to the point where we want to fight. And I believe Jasmine, she posted this as well about start telling the drama field parents that they can't travel. If you know you got a parent that he or she get a little rowdy and they want to go to the car instead of, you know, resolving the conflict, then you might want to leave them at home. And I know we need the help, you know, but you don't want to put a bad name with your team because one of your parents can't control their emotions, because it's all sports.
Right.
It's all fun. It's all designed to build a community. And yes, you want to win. Yes, you want to go home with the trophy. But at what cost? You know, you won and everybody fighting, arguing, folks shooting, kids, you know, getting hurt. We have to think about the overall goal. Like, we can't just continue to allow our personal feelings and emotions take over, you know, because we want a trophy. It's just a trophy at the end of the day. You know.
I will say that too, kind of piggybacking off what you were saying. You know, if we get to know our parents, you really need to take time to get to know each of your parents, sometimes one-on-one. It may not necessarily be a every day or every hangout type of deal, but get to know your parents, get to kind of communicate, know who they are. So when you do start to get into those issues and situations with difficult situations or with things that's happening, you can easily address it, and it's not a big concern. And I'm not saying be buddy and go out drinking with your parents every Friday night and things like that, but get to know them so that they should know your goal, they should know your motives and how you feel about certain things, especially when it comes to your brand and as a whole. But once you get to know them, you know some of your parents that you know for sure, like, hey, I don't think this one, she can't ride the bus with us. Or this parent, I know for sure she's always supportive, always helping with hair and makeup. You get to know them, and that helps tremendously too. Kind of piggybacking off of if they need to travel with you, if they need to go, you just kind of set that tone.
You
I like that. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. We do have to get to know our parents. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to plug in my computer. I didn't want it to die in the process. We do have to get to know everybody, because sometimes we think we know people, and then when you bring them out in public, they be somebody totally different.
Right.
So then you guys gave excellent points about how to resolve conflict with another team. And we have to be careful about social media too. That's real tricky, because all it takes is one person from either side to make a comment, make a post, and it spread like wildfire. You know, and I think that's why we should also have strict policies about social media as it relates to the teens as well as the parents. You know, I understand that we like to express ourselves and give our point of views and personal thoughts, but you have to be careful because it can be misconstrued as something else. Even if you're just expressing yourself and you're not trying to be mean, people can take it the wrong way. We've seen it happen too many times where somebody say something and it's taken the wrong way, and then they all show up to the event ready to fight. So, you know, coaches, directors, be mindful of having a social media policy in place. We will have an episode about how to build your team constitution or your guidelines and your rules as well. And Jennifer, did you want to add something?
I did. It was about social media.
Okay.
And Warren, I want your feedback, and anybody out there listening. Um, that has been one of the most stressful things for me when dealing with girls. With my team, I stress social media. Act like you got some damn sense. on social media. And that's it. And I don't judge anybody. I don't care about backgrounds and demographics, but you know how kids in social media, everybody want to pose a twerk
Yeah.
video. You want to stick your tongue out, here come the finger sign. And I just be like, be mindful of all of that you're doing, because people are looking at you. Like, this is not just for your friends. You're thinking about today. I'm thinking about you in the next 3-4 years. And that's one thing that it was the hardest for me to break. And
Mm-hmm.
it was what made it even extremely hard was their parents was the same way. Their parents was the same way. So I'm like, what am I doing? It discouraged me so bad, because I'm like, I'm trying to bring the greatness out of them, but they just want to be a hot wretched mess. Their parents don't care
Mm-hmm.
either way, but yet instead, and that's where all my conflicts was. All my conflicts was in house,
Right. And that's the next
because
question. How do you deal with conflict within team members? Because I had a situation. This is elementary school. These are second, third grade, fourth, and fifth grade. These are not teenagers. These are babies, where they created a group chat and they started checking and talking about this one specific dancer. And it was so bad that it got on social media and parents got involved. Now, I wasn't the director, I was just the coach. But that specific director with the school, she was new. And of course, I've had experience with this. And so it got so bad that in the middle of practice, these girls started jacking like some grown people. Like, just, it was calling each other B's and H's and all this type of stuff. And it really shocked me because they were so little. The same stuff you said you was dealing with maybe middle school, high school. These were elementary school, like second and third graders fighting and cussing each other out and checking each other and bullying each other and stuff like that. And to me, I don't play that. And unfortunately, I had to fire my captain, who was one of the girls, even though she was the one that was being talked about. I still had to fire her because she got to fight. Because that's a zero tolerance
yeah,
policy. Like, I don't care how great you are. I don't care if you're a leader. Especially if you're a leader, you're the one who's supposed to help resolve this conflict, not be in the conflict. And I understand that they might have attacked you, but you were supposed to come and tell an adult first. If not, you're at least your parents. You don't handle that conflict yourself as it relates to team members. Get in the adults involved. And we can go to the parents. We can sit down and see if we can resolve this. So, that I just want to share that situation.
Well, I'll say too, with a lot of times, especially with our generation and a lot of our kids, we don't really
Mhm.
talk about conflict resolution. We don't really
Right.
work through how to deal with a problem when it happens. So us, as especially as Black individuals, we don't work through, if an issue is happening, what should I do? Am I called a snitch because I talked to my coach? Am I doing this? Am I doing that?
Mhm.
And I even have to do some intense team building at the very beginning of the year with
Mhm.
all of my girls, because at the very beginning of the year, especially my high schoolers, I always go through the team building process. I don't give a damn who you know. You get mentored and paired up based off of what I feel like is going to be best for that particular girl. And you don't know them. I don't care if you've been knowing each other all year long. If it's a newer girl, you got to bring her in. You got to make her feel as if she's a part of the team. And,
Mhm.
you have to do a lot of team building, a lot of, mentoring. And I would even tell my girls, I had a very, very strict policy when it came to a lot of drama. And I told them, I said, we're like family. Some of your family members you don't like. Some of your family members are your closest and best friends, but we're
Mhm.
still a family at the end of the day. And anything that happens in this gym is between us. We solve it as family members. We deal with it as family members. And I was a zero tolerance person to where I took it out on every single dancer, because it was all of their responsibility that something happened. And when I tell you, it cleared up so much drama and so much chaos, because I tell them, y'all as captains, y'all as leaders, you fix it before it come to my table. If it come to my table, I'm going to fix it. And they hated it because my punishment and the way I dealt with it was a lot more severe than just to sit down and have a conversation with a girl that you didn't like, or, hey, this happened, X, Y, and Z. And they knew for sure. It
I
only took
love it.
about one or two times for them to figure out. Don't take it to coach. Let us talk about it. Hey, let's kind of pull out to the side. There have been situations where it's like, coach, we just want you to sit in on this. Cool. No judgment, no problem. But at the same time, that was a part of what these young ladies had to learn as young ladies. Social media, I was zero tolerance of social media. Anything you post can easily be screen
Mhm.
recorded or picked up
Screenshot.
with a second phone, and they say, "Oh, it's on Snapchat and delete." No, it does not.
Mhm.
It can easily be sent to me if you a video or like your reputation is on the line. And they're not going to say, "Oh, Jessica was doing X, Y, and Z." No, they said Jessica, that girl that's on that dance
That
team,
team, right.
Right.
and it's all automatically attached. That girl was doing something sexual. That girl from this team was doing X, Y, and Z. It's going to be attached to that brand. And you have to really, teach that to your girls. You really have to prove that to them because sometimes they don't believe that, hey, I put
Amen.
something online, oh, ain't nothing going to happen. I was just smoking a blunt. No.
These kids, by these kids, it was some
Woo.
look. These same elementary kids,
Mm-hmm.
they were twerking in the bathroom with
Yes.
their school, not team, just outside community,
Oh Lord.
school T-shirt on.
Yes.
Because I was coaching for a school at that point in time,
Mm-hmm.
and I just was like, "You in the third grade? What do you know about
Girl.
twerking?" Now I do know a lot of that comes from social media and watching music videos and stuff like that. They do what they see, but
Right.
it was like, oh my god, like this, like, and it had 100 couple of views on it, and it just was like the principal got
Mm-hmm.
involved. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole nother level of trouble once your principal come in. And
Oh yeah.
I love how you said it, Warren, where if y'all bring it to me, it's gonna be a whole nother ball game. Y'all better learn how to deal with it yourself. Because what it teaches them as they get older to be able to have conversations with their
Mm-hmm.
mouths and not with their hands.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Not so ready to fight all the time or to check somebody or get on social media. We're able to sit down and have these conversations. And crazy enough, as they go into the workforce, as they get in relationships, they'll still be able to have those conversations throughout conflict. Because
Right.
my ultimate goal as a coach is to give you tools that you can use outside of dance, that you can use in everyday life. Yeah, we dance, we win trophies and get scholarships and stuff. But the ultimate goal is to help develop a better person as they get older. So I really appreciate both. Well, did you share, Jennifer? Because I want to make
I don't know, girl.
sure.
But I agree with what y'all said. Oh, but I do have a but so with this whole social media thing, one thing that did happen on my team, I thought it was very, very funny. With we're talking about telling the girls be careful what they post. Um, my team I think one year we had like a battle of the bands, and like
Mhm,
the media people, they be there and they catch everything. One of
Mm-hmm.
my girls had a hair malfunction and it ended up
mhm,
on the floor.
mhm.
And like the person did the video and he zoomed in and everything. And I think he wrote a caption. It was so disrespectful. It was so funny and I'm so sorry. It was like whole stuff or something like this would
Yeah, I get
and
what you're saying.
so um with everybody, when it uploaded to YouTube, I told everybody like watch it on YouTube. And when she saw that, her mom called me livid. She was like, "You need to find him because I don't appreciate that. He need to take that off, cut it, do something, because I will get a ball shut down." So when I asked what happened, and she told me, and I was like, "So you want me to go to this big name media person to tell him or ask him to edit this part out, something that was out of everybody's control." Excuse my baby screaming. Out of
It's
everyone's
okay.
control. And but when your daughter is literally on social media shaking her tail and swinging around on a stripper pole, and it's shared to Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, you come up with all the excuses. Yeah, it was wrong, but they was having. Yeah, but it shouldn't be like this. Yeah, but don't nobody need to talk about them. I'm like, no, that's not how
Mm-hmm.
this works.
No, you just need to make sure you secure that ponytail better.
Yeah,
Baby, it was a
it's
track. You
That would have
so
ended that.
it's
glue it
accountability.
or
That's it.
Or
something.
glue it.
And
Oh yeah, you
so
got to be
she
accountable.
was so
Like
upset. I'm
Derek
like,
said
this.
it. Yeah,
Then she was like,
Derek
"This
was
is
like
so
the
embarrassing."
coach.
She was like, "This is so embarrassing. This is something that could follow her." I'm like, "Okay, now you're getting it. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
fall
Mm-hmm.
hair tracks falling out is just as bad as her shaking her little tail on social media as well. It can follow her.
and that's
So,
the
in a,
thing.
to make the more of the story, I ain't asked him nothing. She just gonna have to see her track on the floor the rest of her life on YouTube.
And it's crazy because like with me, I think about some of the goofy stuff I've said in previous time. And I'm like, oh, thank God that you have delivered me in my mouth. Because I know I've said some stuff that may come back to haunt me. But guess what? I put it out there and I have to deal with the consequences. And even as children, you can't take that stuff down. Like Warren said, it could easily be screenshotted, sent, screen recorded, duplicated,
All
put to
this.
a track, everything. And
Oh yeah.
before you can do, you can do anything, it's already went viral. So you
Right.
have to be careful, because we curate what we put on the internet. So we have to think, and I know kids don't think this way, but as they get older, we do have to think, how is this going to affect me down the line?
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to represent myself well? Will this represent my team well? Will this represent my school or my parents well? Especially if you're a part of a school team. And the reason why I say that, because you're considered a leader when you're involved in extracurricular activities.
Right.
For whatever reason, they do consider you like a leader. And you have to be careful. You have to be careful. And sometimes kids have to learn the hard way. We can tell them it's a fire and they have to put their hand to see if it's really hot. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times they get burnt, and they have to learn those life
Let me
lessons.
hold on. Y'all keep talking. Let me make sure my
It's
house not
fine.
burning
I'm a mama
down.
too. Yeah, I'm a mama too. But we have to continue to teach our girls and our boys how to resolve conflict. Like I hate to see it all the time because it creates drama. Then you have some little girl that's becoming depressed, and then the suicide rates are crazy and stuff, but all because of some social media stuff or because we couldn't resolve the conflict um among one another. So I really appreciate you guys
So
perspective on that.
I have a question about that, and I don't know if
Mhm.
I'm
No,
derailing.
you fine.
So with majorette being so mainstream as it is,
Mhm.
like what do you do to kind of help protect your brand, and your team members? Because anybody that's on a majorette team, a lot of them look at that, I'm sorry, as a major accomplishment, and they always want to broadcast it, show it, talk about it, take selfies, because that's something that they're really proud of, especially if they're on a team, who has a big name. So I think I'm kind of interested in knowing, like, what extra steps, or is there any extra steps do you do to kind of protect them and also protect you and your brand from something like this getting completely out of hand?
You lurk.
Because with these dancers, eyes,
Mhm.
like, they're on them. Everybody wants
Yeah,
to know what they're doing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Like fame or whatever, everybody can handle it. So
Mhm.
yeah, what
Well,
you
I
guys
will
doing?
say, kind of looking at just like I like Darius' comment that he said, we have to start treating these young ladies like collegiate level dancers and having those, difficult conversations and really setting your expectations. Just like any rule or any guideline you have, one of my biggest rules was when you are not in uniform, you're still in uniform. And I want you to think about that. So no matter what you're doing, I don't care if you still don't have my uniform on or it still has anything, that says the team name or whatever, but you're
Mhm.
always in uniform as long as you're a part of my roster.
That's how a
So,
lot of these people getting fired now, clowning.
You're always a part
Yeah.
of my roster. So, with that being said, like everything that you do, people are looking at it. Everything
Mm-hmm.
people are watching, people are, and I look at this, and some of my best dancers dancing at the collegiate level, JSU, Mississippi State. And I tell them, like, I see how hard that their collegiate level coaches are on them about what they supposed to do, what they're supposed to share, what they're supposed to post. And, we have to kind of teach them and cultivate them to say, hey, you got to know what's best for you. You got to want to be seen as a positive leader. You want to be seen in the positive outlook,
Mm-hmm.
not seen as the little slutty dancer or the one that's always got, this going on or that going on. So I think that comes with the dynamic of how you run your program, and that's how
Mm-hmm.
you set the expectations. Like there's certain things that you should not allow. Like anytime you're in uniform, you represent us as the family, the team, the brand. You represent me as a coach. So I expect you to act just as I would act. And just like I have set standards and contract for when I sign and work at my job, it's the exact
Mm-hmm.
same way. I'm setting these standards for you to understand that once you sign on to be a part of this program, it's not just about you.
Right.
It's about all, however many girls you have on this team. And you have to teach them, kind of break them down to build them back up as, hey, I'm getting you where I want you to be, but this is not about you anymore. This is
Right.
about everybody else.
Right. And you made both of you guys, that was a great question, Jennifer, and you gave a really great answer. And I want to add that, we also have to let them know that colleges look at things like this. So if you are
Yeah.
thinking about going to um a specific type of school, a high caliber school, or even being a part of one of those dance lines, they may look at your social media and see
Everything follows.
all this goofiness that you was doing at 16, 17 years old, and they may be like, I don't think so, you
But
know.
that's
Yeah.
the first thing we do automatically as adults. Like,
hmm We
hey,
go to people's social media.
who's that? Who was that team that y'all said is competing in Missouri? And we say this ain't this her name? And then y'all look it up and they try to figure out who they are. Just like if
Mhm.
we don't know people on the street, I think I know, but that's my classmate. We go straight to social media. Let me look them up on Facebook,
Right.
Instagram.
Even when dating, we go straight to social
Yes,
media
Social media,
we
right.
go
to
straight to
see
social media.
what you presenting, like what representation that you have of yourself. So I do have one more question, and tonight's episode will be, shorter because I know Warren has some things to do, and I have some things I have to do.
I gotta clean.
Hey, that's
Me
something
too.
important. Right. I gotta clean up too before my kids come back. So the last question, and this is a difficult one because as new coaches, I have had so many people inbox me crying, like literally crying about how to resolve conflict with parents. Okay, because they want to keep the dancers. Sometimes it's the parents of the good dancer, and you don't want to lose that great dancer. So, you guys, how do you resolve conflict with parents?
Okay, I start. I
Mm-hmm.
take this. Um, if it's how do I want to start? Like, okay, so like you all said at first, when the child comes and you get to know your parents, you kind of see, what they
Mm-hmm.
own and how they are. So if it's like a parent conflict, you treat them just like you would do the team member because they are part of your team and they also represent you and your brand as well. You
Mm-hmm.
sit them down and see exactly what the problem is. And just kind of ask, is this something that you grown people can resolve? Or is
Mm-hmm.
this something that's just so big to where it's going to have to end up with your children being removed? So I would let them, kind of think on that. Like, are you going to be that selfish and be that selfish with your feelings to where your child's going to possibly be put off of a great team that they love, that they love to participate with? Or are you going to kind of hash things out, be the bigger person if you just don't need to come into this practice space when this parent is in there? Something. Let's try to figure something out because the children are going to see, and that's how that's going to kind of dictate how they're going to act when they start dealing with conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
And if none of this work, remove them all and just
Look,
bye,
they got
because
fireworks going on in the background to what you
it's
said.
such a headache. I had parents that literally ganged up on one of my parents for just cultural differences,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the biggest, just the biggest upset. It was the craziest thing to where I just had to keep everyone separate like children. And of course, it spilled over unto the girls. So
Mm-hmm.
they danced together and they did great, sure enough, but there was no team camaraderie and it was completely awful. So that next year, I just, nah, we're
But
not.
and you live and you learn, you know. Sometimes you may come in with a soft hand and you have to be hard. Cause one thing I did was you have to schedule an appointment with me as a parent. Because you don't get to just walk in on me on practice. Or when we done with practice, like, no, let's schedule a time where we can sit down, we can express our thoughts. If the conflict is with me, or if it's with another parent, or a child, or whatever you have, we're gonna take the time, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna discuss this. Because when you walk up on somebody, you know,
It
you're
could be looked
subject
at
to
as
have.
aggressive.
Right. That you took the words right out of my mouth. It can come off as aggressive, you know, and sometimes that may not be your intent. And sometimes for some parents, it is to intimidate because they feel like, well, I'm paying you to have my child on here, and my child is this, my child is that. And if stuff don't go my way, I'm gonna take my child off the team. And a lot of new coaches, they're afraid of losing team members because of a difficult parent, you know. And that's what I mean by resolving conflict, because I meant more so difficult parents. How do you deal with difficult parents? Me, I don't. You know, after one or two times, it's like, okay, take your baby and go. You know,
Yeah, I
agree.
because I've learned the hard way where I was very lenient and they ended up taking over the team. And it was like they were turned against me and just all types of crazy stuff. So my
yeah.
advice is schedule an appointment, whether it's over the phone. I say have a witness, you know, somebody that's there, that's neutral, that's, you know, would be able to, you know, make sure that the conversation isn't going too crazy, or that the parent can run off and say, well, she said this, or even if you have to record it, you know. That's one thing I don't do. Like, even with conversations with clients, I don't have a whole lot of phone conversations. I do mainly email or messaging, because
Mm-hmm.
I need to have a track record, or I need to have something I can go back to that, no, this
Right.
is what was not said, this is what was said. So be mindful of that. Warren, I love to hear your perspective on this.
So one thing I always would do is I always had regular parent meetings anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And I treated my parents as if they were my dancers too, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a certain parent guidelines and certain things that we would do during the meetings to where they had expectations. The parent had expectations just like the dancers did.
Mm-hmm.
And I will regularly have meetings with them just to discuss things going on, concerns on the team, have open dialogue about it. And the dancers were not included in these meetings.
Mm-hmm.
It was just coach, parents. Let's talk. What do y'all want for our goals for this year? We got big jamborees, big competitions coming up. This is my focus, and this is what I need your help on. But also, what are some things that y'all want to do this year? Fundraising, things like that. So, you know, you got to constantly have those regular meetings and have your parents to be follow expectations just as you would if they were your dancer. And when you have parents that are, you know, have difficult situations, I agree with the meetings of having those one-on-one, you know, talking and, you know, setting a time to sit down with me. But, you know, you do have some that are so abrasive that sometimes it's going to take, you may not be able to wait to the next day to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to deal and hit that in the bud and nip it in the bud. But I don't like to give parents too much responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always been my overall goal for any part of my programs. I have a parent leader that has, they help with all of the things that we may need as a team or, want to coordinate different things. But at the end of the day, it's my say so if I want to do it, if I don't want to do it. If I have a parent that's having a difficult issue with one another, like you said, hey, I'm talking to them first. I'm going to talk to them separately. I have a conversation. I listen to them. I document, take notes. This is what you told me to happen. Get the side of what the dancers, how they feel about it. Talk to the other side of the party, and then have a time to where once everything has kind of diffused a little bit, having a come to Jesus moment that we all kind of have a conversation. We talk about it, and we work on what's going to be our goal. Because I like to have a contingency plan. Once we get through that meeting, I always tell them, so we've resolved this issue. This is my outcome if this pops back up. Mm-hmm. This is what will happen for you as the dancer, you as the parent. This is going to be our expectation. And a lot of times the parents, when I have an issue with parents or with the dancers and they are removed from my team, they're having to pay their remainder fees for that year. They're fined, like a contract fine. Mm-hmm. And most parents don't want that because now you're paying because you can't participate, but you're still having to pay for what your daughter signed up for and your commitment that you gave to this program. So, and I always tell them that in the end meeting, hey, I don't want any of these dancers to leave because I want them to be a part of something positive no matter what is going on. But at the end of the day, if I was dancing background for Beyonce and I wasn't upholding to what I needed to do on stage, coming to practices, at rehearsals, and doing X, Y, and Z, they're not going to give me a second chance and say, oh, well, yeah, Warren, you was a great background dancer. Go ahead. You good. They're going to cut my tail and just send me on my way and run me my fine and say, you owe us for travel and for our contract fees and what we already paid you. And just like my parents have to understand that, there's zero obligation for you to still stay with my team, but you're going to be held responsible for your actions. You're going to be held responsible for what you do, your child do. And if we set that tone, it makes running your team so much easier because they learn, hey, this is not just a popcorn team. I call them popcorn team. This is a organization that is organized by true structure. It's organized by a strong belief of creating young leaders and young dancers. And, we have to build it. And once you build it, it makes the parent issues 0 to none.
Right. You just dropped some gems, of some things that I, if I decide to coach again, would be willing to use, that I never really thought about holding them accountable even after being removed from the team because you signed a contract and you did not uphold to that contract. Right. So you guys, we talked about resolving conflict with other teams, resolving conflict with team members, as well as resolving conflict with parents. Okay, so if you are watching after the live has ended, make sure that you still share and tag other people because we want to get out this information to everyone so everyone can be educated and learn things that they may not know. You do not have to suffer in silence. Coaches, you do not have to suffer in silence. Please reach out to any one of us or join some of these groups that we have available so that you can be able to express your thoughts, get solid quality advice to help you and your team and prevent you from losing team members or keeping team members that are toxic to your organization. So I want to close with this. I want to thank Warren and I want to thank Jennifer for joining in and taking the time out to have this discussion with me. And is there anything that you want to add at the end? Anything you want to promote? You guys can go ahead and do that now. Anybody?
You got to warn. I don't have anything.
I can't tell if I can hear you or not. Hopefully within the next month or so, for us at DMW Elite, we will be starting some of our dance classes back up for some of our
Okay.
adults.
Okay.
Offering some adult classes, majorette classes, some line dance classes. So we will be getting some of that stuff out. I know I had several people that's been asking about if you need judges, if you
Mm-hmm.
need, people workshops. We've been trying to not stay as booked as I normally would be. So if anybody that's needing any help, any mentoring, any training, basic camps, please let myself know. Myself along my partner Darius, he knows we do a great job traveling and doing what we can to try to help any team at little to no cost to try to help
Mm-hmm.
build and set the tone to just try to help people the right way.
Right.
Um, we still will have on our February jamboree that will be coming up next year. Hopefully, we're going to get some flyer and some save the date information out. Hopefully, by the next time we have our podcast, and hopefully, we'll be able to see all of you all soon.
Well, I plan on coming out more and, being a part of competitions and stuff because I haven't been to one in so long. So I'm excited about doing that. Jennifer, you have anything else you want to add to the conversation
Um,
or promote?
yeah, well, just add for those who supported the Independent Showdown last weekend, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was a great, 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 great turnout. The band
Yes.
showed up and the dancing showed up and showed out,
Yeah, I saw.
honey.
That
So
was
if you didn't get a chance to see it, it's on YouTube. Y'all go follow, support. Just be a part of this great movement that we have
Mhm.
going on, like everyone's been talking about.
All
we're
right,
ready for
thank.
another event, Jen. They got to do more of these. I don't know why we
Yeah,
don't see more of them.
Now, when y'all want to talk about marching band, put me on their podcast because, honey, I got some things to say.
yeah, because I'm
Okay.
not as experienced with marching bands as I am with more community and school related. So that would be a good episode. And your significant other, he can come on because he is a band director, correct? If he
Mm,
wants
let's
to, I don't know if
let's
he.
go. You ready for that?
They might be
Well, you can. I about
You
to
ready,
say,
Ward? I don't think she
that
ready.
might be a little X-rated that day. We
yeah,
might
well, this is it's really designed for adults, and I can get a little raw. Y'all just don't know that side yet, but yeah, I really appreciate y'all coming back on and sharing your insights and your experiences with everyone because you don't know how much this is helping. I get DM saying, "Hey, I watched your podcast and I really appreciate all the things that you and your panelists have said." So even though it may seem like we're on a small scale now, moving forward, it's gonna grow bigger and bigger, and it's gonna help a lot of people. So I just really appreciate you sacrificing your time and sharing your information because we know it's people that like to keep stuff secretive and private and stuff. And you guys are open books. And like I said, hit up any one of us. All of us are qualified to help coach, technique, help you with paperwork, guide you in the right direction, judge, all of that. Everybody is qualified on this stage. So, with that being said, we want to thank you guys for watching. Well, thank you so much, Crystal. See, already somebody said it's a great podcast.
Thanks, Crystal.
But we want to thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments, make sure that you DM me at Divine Dance All Stars, either on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I usually respond within 24 hours. Thank you guys and have a great night.
see y'all later.
Bye.